Fortnite, Save the World, had so much potential. Before the live events, before the celebrity crossovers, before Fortnite became a global cultural phenomenon, there was a different vision for the game. A cooperative survival experience where players teamed up to fight off hordes of monsters and defend their bases. That was the original Fortnite. When Fortnite, Save the World launched in 2017, it was positioned as the main experience. Developed by Epic Games, the game blended base building, third-person shooting, hero progression, crafting systems, and a surprisingly charming story. Players chose different hero classes, gathered resources during the day, and defended objectives from waves of enemies known as husks at night. It had personality. The art style was colorful, the writing had humor, the progression system felt deep. There were skill trees, weapon schematics, traps to upgrade, and cooperative missions that encouraged teamwork. It felt like the foundation of something that could grow for years. And then, everything changed. In September of that same year, Epic released a free mode called Fortnite Battle Royale. At the time, it was almost an experiment. A separate mode, inspired by the growing popularity of Battle Royale games. No one could have predicted what would happen next. Battle Royale exploded. Because it was free to play, anyone could download it instantly. Streamers started playing it. YouTubers began uploading daily content. Social media, filled with clips of intense final circles and insane building battles. Within months, Fortnite wasn't just popular. It was everywhere. And while Battle Royale was rapidly expanding, Save the World remained a paid experience. That difference mattered more than anyone expected. New players entering the Fortnite ecosystem didn't have to think twice. One mode cost money. The other was completely free. Naturally, most gravitated toward the free option, especially when that free mode was receiving constant updates, new weapons, map changes, limited time events, and seasonal battle passes. Battle Royale evolved quickly. Every few months brought a new season with fresh mechanics and dramatic map changes. There were massive in-game events that millions of players experienced together in real time. Crossovers with major franchises brought new characters and cosmetics into the game. It felt alive. It felt unpredictable. Meanwhile, Save the World updates began to slow down. It wasn't that the mode was abandoned immediately. There were still patches and occasional additions, but compared to the pace of Battle Royale, it felt like it was moving in slow motion. Over time, perception began to shift. Save the World no longer felt like the main game. It felt like the side mode. Live service games depend on momentum. Players need a reason to log in consistently. They need goals, rewards, and the promise of something new on the horizon. In the early and mid-game, Save the World delivered that feeling. Unlocking new zones, upgrading heroes, experimenting with weapon builds, and coordinating defenses with teammates felt rewarding. There was a satisfying loop of gathering resources, preparing defenses, and surviving increasingly difficult waves. But once players reached the endgame, cracks started to show. After completing the main storyline and reaching higher power levels, many players began asking a simple question: what's next? Yes, there were higher difficulty missions. Yes, there were limited events. But there wasn't a deeply evolving endgame system that kept players invested for the long term. The grind became repetitive. Missions started to blur together. Without meaningful new challenges or major expansions, motivation slowly declined. At the same time, the broader gaming industry was shifting toward free-to-play models. Games like Apex Legends and Call of Duty Warzone proved that free entry combined with cosmetic monetization could dominate the market. Players were becoming accustomed to jumping into high-quality experiences without paying upfront. Save the World's pay-to-play structure began to feel outdated. Even players who enjoyed the mode found it harder to convince friends to buy in when they could all just play Battle Royale for free. Over time, fewer new players entered the Save the World ecosystem. And as the player base shrank, the community energy began to fade. Games thrive on community momentum. Content creators streaming daily missions, YouTubers making guides and challenge videos, clips spreading across social media. Battle Royale dominated those spaces. Save the World gradually disappeared from them. And when visibility drops, growth slows. Fewer active players meant longer matchmaking times, less discussion online, fewer updates justified by a shrinking audience. It became a cycle that was difficult to break. Eventually, Epic officially slowed development of Save the World, confirming what many players had already felt for a long time. The mode would no longer receive the same level of active development as Battle Royale. While it would remain playable, its era as a major focus was effectively over. What makes this story interesting is that Save the World wasn't a bad game. In many ways, it was ambitious. It combined cooperative gameplay, base defense strategy, RPG-style progression, and Fortnite's unique building mechanics into something that genuinely stood out. It simply lived in the shadow of one of the most successful games ever created. Battle Royale became a cultural phenomenon that redefined Fortnite as a brand. It hosted virtual concerts, it broke player count records, it influenced the direction of live service gaming across the industry. When something grows that large, resources naturally shift toward it. From a business perspective, the decision made sense. From a fan perspective, it felt like lost potential. Today, Save the World still exists. Dedicated players still log in. There are still missions to complete and bases to defend. But it never became the evolving flagship experience it once seemed destined to be. It started with promise. It had creativity. It had depth. But it couldn't keep pace with rapidly changing gaming trends, the rise of free-to-play dominance, and the unstoppable momentum of Battle Royale. In the end, Save the World wasn't defeated by failure. It was overshadowed by overwhelming success. And sometimes, that's an even more interesting story.